Was Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles the best TV match in WWE in 2020? I am Chopper Pete Quinnell. I'm joined by Randy Andy Datson. Welcome to the WrestleTalk podcast review of SmackDown. And we're going to be kicking things off today talking about the Intercontinental Championship Tournament final match between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan, which was amazing. It was really, really good. There were reports that came out before this SmackDown when the match was taped that the match was so good that it actually made the crowd that was there, the WWE NXT guys that were there, actually kind of come alive because they'd been a bit sluggish through the show because obviously it's a long stint. They have to stand up and cheer and boo and all that stuff. And they got to stand the whole time. It's a long day for them. But this match was so good that they actually got invested in it as audience members and not just because they were paid to be there. And yes, it was that good. It was amazing. I loved this match.
Interestingly, this weekend we've got Backlash, Greatest Show, and also Come Alive is a song from The Greatest Showman. So it's all adding up, Pete. But truly, yes, no, this was it was so refreshing to see a long wrestling match where there were periods of offense for both people, long periods of offense where it looked like they were leading to one thing and the match actually ended with something else. I mean, for a long time it was like, okay, they're both going for submissions here. I mean, Bryan's been targeting the arm for ages. That's going to help with his label lock or the yes lock. And AJ is targeting the knee. That's going to help with his calf crusher. So yeah, and I was like, oh, cool. So this is going to be like a really technical match, and it was technical for the vast majority of it. And it was only really the last few minutes where it got really kind of hard hitting, and they were doing dives and flips and Styles clashes and knees to the face and things and what have you. But yeah, it wasn't like overly quick. It wasn't a sort of mile a minute match, but you could just tell that these two people are just so good at their jobs, and that the backstage producers went, "You've got half an hour. We kind of trust you. Off you go. Here's who's winning," and that was it. So
yeah, it was a brilliant match, like you said. So it's very psychological with working over the knee and the arm, and not only did it soften them up for the yes lock and the calf crusher respectively, but it also damages their own finishes because Bryan has the running knee and AJ has the phenomenal forearm. So it strengthens their own finishes and weakens the other one as well at the same time. It was really, really smart. And yeah, it was just so refreshing, like you said, to have this long technical match. It went through, I think, 3 ad breaks. 4. It was a really long match. 4 ad breaks. It was a really long match. And it was just so fun to watch. And then I think the finish was great as well. Bryan had this kind of hot comeback, was lining up for the running knee. Styles just picked him up into powerbomb position from the running knee and instantly just dropped him into the Styles Clash, which was great. And then he just kind of rolled off it. He didn't go for a pin attempt off it or anything. He just kind of rolled off it, went to the ropes and just hit the phenomenal forearm and just won, which I thought was brilliant. Yeah, I thought it was a brilliant move to have him win like this because there could have been so much scope for heel shenanigans from AJ, or Drew Gulak gets involved and accidentally costs Bryan or something like that could protect Bryan in defeat. But they didn't. They just had AJ win, and it makes him look so much better for it. It's a great way to build him up if they're still going to potentially continue this whole Undertaker thing that was still happening post Mania and into Money in the Bank. It's a great way to build him back up as a legitimate competitor who can beat a guy like Daniel Bryan.
You reckon Undertaker's going to go for the IC Championship?
Yeah, totally.
AJ, I want that title.
I thought it was great to have AJ just win clean. I thought it was a great decision. Made him look great. The match was fantastic. I can't praise it enough. It was so good. And it elevated the whole show because it took up so much of the show. My rating of the show has gone up by a whole point based on how good this match was.
The rest of the show was pretty pants.
It was fine. There was some bad points for sure. There were some other decent points, but this was so good.
I love is a counter into a Styles Clash. Remember the stomp counter that he did on Seth Rollins? It was just like, oh man, how do you do that without everyone dying? And there's another one. I mean, this was probably a bit more kind of straightforward. Like Bryan still had to get a lot of elevation to get his legs over AJ's shoulders. But yeah, it was just one of those Bryan's going for the knees, and it just it was great. And it was a really sudden finish, but actually he beat Daniel Bryan. He didn't cheat at any. There was really no cheating at any point that I can remember. There wasn't even like an eye rake or a thumb to the eye or a hair pull or anything. There was I think it was like a throat chop, but I don't think that's against the rules or anything like that. So a clean win, and we've got a new IC champion, and frankly, he is my favorite champion on the brand now. I'm losing interest in Braun.
Oh, totally. I lost interest in Braun when he won the title, unfortunately. Yes. I really enjoyed this match, and I think AJ as IC champ could be really good. And I'm hoping, because of the way this story went with Drew Gulak pinning AJ the week prior, I'm hoping that Gulak is going to be AJ's first contender. And then you kind of got the Bryan influence there at the same time while having a different challenger. I think could be really cool. There was a great spot in the match as well where AJ was going for the Styles Clash, and Bryan did the same counter that Gulak did into the same roll-up that Gulak did, but AJ kicked out of it. It was like, oh, he's learned from the last time, and he's he got better from it, which was great. It's good to say. It's good when heels go, I'm smart, and then they're actually smart. And they're smart. I'm smart, and then they're actually just get rolled up 3 times, like everyone does. But no, it's good to see he's actually backing up his words. And I purposely, because often I will know who won the match before I watch the show, just because of the nature of my job. But I made sure that I didn't on this one. And honestly, I don't know why, but I thought Bryan was going to win. But then, it just kind of just came out of nowhere. So, it's good. Yeah, really, really good stuff. My only gripe with it was that why wasn't it the main event? Yeah, and then to feel a bit like a kind of, this is the middle. It was like when you put it was like the Kofi gauntlet matches from last year, where they sort of, it was that you had like 2 segments and then a gauntlet match, and then you had another hour and a half. And it was like, who chose this? Yeah. This just felt like, especially because before the match, they had a really great video package that put over how important the Intercontinental Championship was and the prestige that it has behind it and all the amazing people that have held the title in the past and how important it was. And then they just didn't have it as the main event. It felt like such a big time match, and they gave it the big fight feel, and they gave it, 4 ad breaks. They gave it this really long runtime and a great technical match, but they just didn't follow through on where it should be on the card. And especially because, it wasn't like there was a massive angle in the main event or anything like that. It was just a main event, and it definitely could have been changed out. So I don't get why it wasn't the main event. That's my only gripe with the match, because I thought it was perfect in every other regard. Yeah. It was great. I think easily in the kind of COVID era, it's got to be up there with one of the best matches. I know there have been some great ones on like Double or Nothing, and there were some great ones just on AW Dynamite TV. But I think in terms of WWE TV matches, certainly the ones that I've seen, I can't remember a better one since the kind of the start of lockdown. Yeah, genuinely, I think this might be the best one, because this was fan-bloody-tastic. But we should get into talking about the rest of the show, which kicked off with a very interesting segment. This was reported previously. This was leaked a couple of days before SmackDown, so I knew it was coming. Great choice of words. And this was the contract signing between Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. So Sheamus comes out first. Renee Young introduces him, and Sheamus comes out first. And he's flanked by 4 bodyguard people and a doctor. We'll get onto the doctor in a minute, but he comes out with this doctor, and then Jeff Hardy comes out, and he comes out with like a little private booth thing that they set up in the ring. And Sheamus essentially demands that Jeff Hardy takes a urine test before he signs the contract, before their match at Backlash, to prove that he's not
Sheamus.
done any alcohol.
You're
or
in
pills.
Trouble.
No, that's bad.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that guy was a doctor because he was wearing a white lab coat, and
he had a stethoscope.
Yeah, all doctors always wear those. My girlfriend is soon to be a PhD, and I imagine as soon as she becomes a doctor, then I will just have to deal with the fact that she's going to walk around with a stethoscope all the time.
Yeah, exactly. She'll just constantly be checking for your heartbeat,
my pulse and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. He demanded a urine test. Hardy was like, "This is ridiculous, but you know what? If it's going to mean that I get my hands on you at Backlash, then sure, I'll do it." And he went into the little private booth thing with the doctor, and he did the urine test, which was definitely urine, 100%.
Yeah, because clearly Jeff Hardy's penis is a beer tap, because that stuff was just a pint of lager, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was,
and also there was
luminous.
Tons of it,
or it was apple juice, possibly. But yeah, I mean, Jeff had been he was really dehydrated, but he had a lot of pee.
But he had a lot, because that was dehydrated pee, and there was tons of it.
But I guess they had to make it look like that to make the next spot look more funny. Yeah. Whatever.
But Sheamus just bloody loves the word junkie at the minute. That's his word of the day. And then Jeff Hardy says this really weird line, which gets like bleated out of the thing. And he said, "It's better to be pissed off than pissed on."
Yeah.
I was like, that's not a good line, but okay. And then he just grabs the urine and chucks it in Sheamus's face.
And Sheamus, to be fair, Sheamus sells it really well.
He sold it like he'd had acid thrown on him. It's like it was burning his skin. It was quite amusing, actually. But it was. It's just not it's not a good segment. I'm sorry. It's just not.
It's not fair. It's not. You can see Vince McMahon at backstage. Ha, 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 ha! This is the funniest thing he's ever seen. But for anyone with a mental age over 4, it was kind of okay. Yeah.
Bit of eye rolling, bit of okay. This is where
my favorite bit was Sheamus going, "Well, you know that the urine sample takes 24 hours to get done." And then the segment afterwards, the doctor comes in and goes, "Sheamus, it was negative."
It was negative.
It's like, wow, that was really quick.
Yeah, it was so dumb. And especially because, what did he test? All of the urine went onto Sheamus.
No, he had a stick in it for a bit.
Yeah, he had a stick. That's not how the tests work.
It was a pregnancy test.
Take it away. God, yeah, he's doing the bloody litmus test in some pee to figure out if it's had pills or alcohol. Jesus, It was bad. It was just bad. And but I think the funniest thing about the whole segment though was the doctor himself, because I know this doctor. I know him, not personally. We've not met, but I've seen him in other things. They recruited him from somewhere else. So I'm just going to play a little clip of something that I've seen on YouTube of this doctor being a doctor somewhere else on YouTube.
Ligma. Ligma, what you ask? Ligma balls.
I love that so much. He's just the best. It's so good because this dude is a running joke in my friend group. And the instant he came on screen, I was like, oh, it's the guy that we laugh at all the time. Oh God, he's the best. That whole video is so good. Like, I
am a Redditor, and so therefore I have seen many Ligmas, but I've never seen. Is that the original Ligma, or is that just him doing it?
I don't know. I think that's just him doing it, but
double dab.
It's it's quite the video, and it's just hilarious to me that they found this guy on Fiverr. Apparently, you can hire him on Fiverr, and they got him to come in to play a straight doctor when he's been a meme doctor before. Which I thought was hilarious. After that, he goes to Sheamus backstage, is washing himself, and he lets him know that the results are negative, and Sheamus is like, "Oh no, my plans!" Which to me seems like if Sheamus is legitimately like shocked that Hardy has passed these tests, seems to suggest to me that there is another attacker that is yet to be revealed. I don't think it's Sheamus. I think Sheamus is actually innocent in the innocent.
Sami Zayn?
Could be Sami Zayn. Eric Rowan's twin.
A returning Rowan.
Yeah.
Beaker from wherever it is. Tormund, Giant's Bane from
that's true.
From Game of Thrones.
Ron Weasley.
Any of the Weasleys, really.
Any of the Weasleys.
Although I'm not sure any of them are ever described as having a beard.
They're not described as it, but with lockdown, maybe
Ron is given a beard by Hermione when they go into Diagon Alley in the 7th one.
That's true. That is
when
true.
he is Dragomir Despard.
You know that. Good God. Anywho, we're getting sidetracked here. I think Sheamus is going to reveal another attacker. Also, another attacker will be revealed at some point. Maybe with the hacker. Maybe that's something they could reveal. Where is the hacker? They've not been on SmackDown for ages.
That feels like that's going to be added to the WrestleTalk.com list of storylines that were randomly dropped.
Yeah. Well, there was a report a while back of a storyline that had been delayed because it was very important to have fan reaction with it. So they're waiting for live crowds to come back before the storyline continues. I'm thinking it might be the hacker. I don't know.
Because an unveiling is not that interesting if it's just a bunch of people who are being paid to be excited.
Yes, exactly.
You don't want it to be someone and then all you've got is Jessamine Duke going...
the whole time. Yes, exactly. But anyway, I'm sure that'll be revealed at some point. After that, we got New Day versus Cesaro and Nakamura, which was essentially a match to position Cesaro and Nakamura as new challengers for the New Day because it looks like the Forgotten Sons push is being halted. Which I think is a good choice regardless, just because not only because of Jackson Riker's comments that he made on Twitter, but also because of the nature of their gimmick, because they are very militaristic and they'd be facing the New Day. I think it's a very smart choice to pull that push.
If Jackson Riker is a massive bigot, if he is, then you don't really want him to go up against Big E and Kofi Kingston, who have in the past week done an incredibly emotional podcast about racism and discrimination. You don't want someone who supports President Trump facing them and perhaps beating them. Exactly. So honestly, I wouldn't. Obviously, it's bad for the other guys in Forgotten Sons, but I would not care if Jackson Riker was never seen on.
Regardless, this is just a good choice to do a different team, have Cesaro and Nakamura come in, and they actually beat New Day in this match as well. As Kingston's going for a crossbody, Nakamura gets the knees up and manages to roll up Kingston and position them as essentially probably new number one contenders, potentially even a Backlash. So
it appears to be a thing on SmackDown that champions lose quite a lot. I'm not that keen on it because the New Day have lost a lot recently as well. I mean, they lost against Forgotten Sons and things. But I mean, they started the match by taking a knee and kind of doing a sort of a Black Lives Matter thing, which was really nice to see. And I don't know if you saw afterwards, but they were wearing armbands which had like Breonna Taylor's name on it and things like that. So that was really cool. And it's great that no matter what you think of Vince McMahon and stuff, they are allowing these things to happen because you can bet your house on the fact that they would have needed someone to give them the go ahead for this. Yes. So at least they're letting that happen. So the finish came off of a kind of Kofi was going for a dive thing, and Nakamura kind of put one knee up and managed to roll him over because obviously the roll up is a very effective move on SmackDown. I wouldn't be surprised at all if in the next sort of 24 hours we got and on Sunday a Backlash we're going to get this match because I think there's only 7 matches so far announced for Backlash.
After that, we got it was the Daniel Bryan AJ Styles match, which took up the vast majority of the show, which it takes a while. But I still don't get why that wasn't the main event. But then we got a recap of Miz Morrison trying to annoy Braun from last week. And I thought Braun's promo here was okay. It was a solid Braun promo. The bar for Braun, I think the bar for Braun promos is pretty low, but I thought this was better. I think it started off a bit rocky, but by the end of it, basically he needs to keep it short. And when he does his super deep, intimidating voice, it can be quite intimidating. So just do that more. Because it was like he was saying, because it was going to be a 6-man tag match in the main event of Braun and Heavy Machinery, hello Tucker, against Dolph Ziggler and Miz and Morrison. And he was basically saying, hey, I've been down this road before. If Otis tries anything funny, I don't mind obliterating some Heavy Machinery, was like his final line. But he did it super deep voice, super intimidating. It's like, just do that bit and don't have everything that came before. And it would be a good promo.
It was weird because it sort of started as an advert for the rest of the show. He's like, right, so next up we've got this, and then we've got that in the main event, and earlier we had this. It's like, okay. Just flash it up if you want us to know that. But yeah, if it was just cut it in half and do that last bit where he kind of talks about beating things up because he's a beefcake. And then Tucker's back from somewhere. Mandy comes in to wish Otis luck, and then they're interrupted by Sheamus and Jeff still fighting. And in comes the shouty lady ref, who's just going, and she actually makes an appearance later in the show doing the exact same thing. So that's fun.
Very fun. After that, we got a recap of Bliss and Cross versus Bayley and Banks from last week. And then we got a celebration from Banks and Bayley of their women's tag team title win. I like Bayley's over-the-top celebration. I think it's quite funny. Her just being really over the top with her celebrating and getting all in Michael Cole's face and taking a selfie, but not actually having Michael Cole in the picture. I thought it was just good. I liked it. They did the classic heel "We Told You So" promo from them winning, just being like, "We told you, we're great, we're best friends," etc. Bayley wrote a poem about Banks, but they get interrupted by Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, who come down to the ring and say something. I've not written down what they said, but I don't think it was important.
No, Nikki just said, "Me and Alexa love a good party," and then they are almost interrupted almost immediately. I did think that I quite liked the staging that they'd done because it just looked like a really cheap, like high school prom.
With all the balloons and
it's
stuff.
Just tacky and kind of like, but it kind of works for their gimmick. And then they're almost immediately interrupted by the Iconics, who say some stuff about beating them, and completely forget to mention that they were pinned themselves on Raw. But it would be a bit silly if they had said that. So that was fine, and it's going to be and then Alexa and Nikki beat down Sasha and Bayley, and we've got the six woman tag tomorrow. No, like triple threat tag tomorrow
at Backlash. We got another Matt Riddle video package again. He's still coming. Apparently, he's going to be on next week. So after Backlash, Matt Riddle's coming to SmackDown, which is cool. Don't know what he's going to do, but I'm kind of nervous. And then we got the main event of Miz and Morrison and Dolph Ziggler versus Braun Strowman and Heavy Machinery. Miz and Morrison did a promo backstage just before the match, which leads us into our SmackDown highlight of the week. Everybody. Because Kayla Braxton came in to introduce Miz and Morrison for their backstage promo. And the way they introduced themselves really tickled me. So here we go.
But now, please welcome my guests, Miz and Morrison.
Hey, ho, ho.
It just really tickles me. It's the way that Morrison kind of like slides in, just like, hey, coming in from side, and Miz comes in from the other side.
As they slimed Kayla last week, so.
They did, yeah. She seemed very okay with that for some reason. But anyway, they get interrupted. They try to debut a new song. It gets interrupted by Braun Strowman's entrance somehow. And then he, don't think about it too much, he makes his way down to the ring, and then it's time for the main event. I think it's great to have Tucker back, but it's a shame it wasn't more of a big deal. I thought it would have been like,
Tucker,
whoa, I'm back.
Tucker's really good.
He's
really good. But this match was just more of the Mandy. It looks like we've got another. It looks like we've got Baron Corbin against Otis as a feud now, I guess. Or Baron Corbin and Dolph against Heavy Machinery or something like that. Seems to be a feud. Again, another one. I wouldn't be surprised if we had Otis versus Baron on the pre-show tomorrow or something like that. Yeah, so it was a fine match. It was basically built around Braun and Otis being big and running into things, and Tucker being good. At one point, Baron Corbin comes up on the Titantron and is kind of talking to Mandy Rose, which distracts Otis, who runs up towards the back, beats up Baron Corbin, and then just immediately comes back. There was no kind of...
So, tell you what, I've got something to say about this one, because I thought that Corbin coming up and Otis leaving was a masterstroke of booking. I thought it was genius booking because it does so many things at the same time, because it furthers the Otis and Corbin feud that's apparently we're getting now. It's yet another time where Otis has abandoned Tucker. If that sort of, implosion of head machinery ever happens, that's another kind of level to it, of Otis just leaving Tucker behind. It gives the baby faces, who at that point in the 6-man tag were very dominant, it makes them the underdogs in the match because it's 3-on-2. And that then mimics the handicap match that's happening at Backlash with Miz and Morrison against Braun. I was like, it's accomplished so much in one little move. I was like, that's such perfect booking. That's great. Otis goes back and brawls with Corbin. Cool. That's him out the match. That's going to put Braun and Tucker on the defensive. Tucker's going to get pinned. Tucker's going to be annoyed at Otis because he left him. And Braun's going to have a loss because of the numbers game, which mimics Backlash. But then Otis just came back and undid all of that work. And I was like, wow.
Immediately.
Thanks, guys. He comes back and just kind of goes, oh, cool. Gets up on the apron and goes, hot tag, please. Gets it, runs wild. Braun does his run around the ring. Otis hits a caterpillar on Ziggler and wins. I was like, guys, you almost had it. It was right there. That would have been really good. But no, they ruined it, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah, it was strange.
It was just like, why was that the main event?
Why was that the main event? And they keep teasing throughout the shows as well that Otis is going to cash in on Braun. I think they're overly doing it. Otis is not going to cash in on Braun. I think he's going to cash in for a tag title, and it's going to be him and Tucker standing tall after the Money in the Bank cash in. They keep doing this Otis Braun thing, and both times it's just been Otis and Braun stand tall together. Hey, constantly.
They're both big.
Yeah, which is really annoying, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, just before we started this match, you were talking about what Matt Riddle is going to do. I think he's probably going to beat a enhancement talent. It'll go because that's what they do on SmackDown. They go, here's a new guy. Here's him beating someone not very difficult.
Yes. That's why I'm scared.
Either that, I think that's the most likely, or I guess AJ could come out and go, I'm not going to give any handouts. And then Matt Riddle comes out. And that's much better.
That would be amazing.
But
I'd be well up for that.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But once again, why wasn't Bryan and AJ the main event? Doesn't make any sense. It's so much better than everything this main event was. But hey ho. So that was SmackDown. Overall, I thought it was a fine go home show. It built the feuds effectively. There just wasn't a good killer cliffhanger angle that you really need for a go-home show. However, AJ versus Bryan was amazing, and it was by far the longest thing on the show. So that alone, I think, elevates it to a 4 out of 5, a low 4 out of 5 for me. I thought it was amazing. It was that good for me.
While that was really good, I still can't give. It still doesn't make up for the rest of the show being a bit stunted. I'm going to give it a 3, but I'm not saying that it was a bad show. I just think that they could building to the greatest show tomorrow night.
But we're going to be doing something now that we looked at on our Twitter account. We actually tweeted out because SmackDown writer Krista Joseph was fired recently, so there's a spot open as a SmackDown writer. So we put it out on our Twitter at WrestleTalk_TV. If you were going to be a SmackDown writer, what storyline would you pitch So, Randy, I believe you've got some of the of your favorites.
I've got some here. So, first, Owain Roach simply says, all of the released wrestlers invade SmackDown and take over the show. So that's all of the people who were released a few weeks ago.
That would actually be kind of funny. That would be great. However, it wouldn't happen.
No. Can you imagine like Epico Colon running in, everyone going, "Oh my god, it's Epico!"
I mean, I'm just thinking of like the forces behind like Rusev, who comes in and like leads the charge, would be really a cool visual. So yeah, thank you for that suggestion. I thought that was pretty cool.
Eric Kolunga says, I would begin Charlotte's descent into madness, where she will begin to lose against everyone and become something like Joker Sting, just to have her really become hardcore until Becky comes back to try and save her so they can be tag champs for a bit. Started well, and then you made Charlotte and Becky tag champs.
Yeah. I like the first bit. Descent into Madness, I think, is a great story, especially for someone like Charlotte, who's been so kind of arrogant through her whole run and just being like, I'm the best.
Charlotte Sting rather than Bailey Sting.
Exactly, yeah. But someone who's been so very much like, I'm the best, no one can compete with me, I'm the queen, everyone must bow down. For her to go on like a losing streak, I think is a really cool story to tell, and that should be a story at some point. I don't think they will, because they don't want Charlotte to lose, but I think it'd be a really cool story. You lost me when she came back and had the tag straps with Becky, but still a cool suggestion.
Yeah. Adam at Pointed 4 says, McMahon blows up in another limo and reappears a week later all dressed in white, really awakened. He's all of a sudden really ethical and wants to turn the company around to encourage good and criticizes greed. He praises other wrestling companies and starts a union for talent.
Somehow I don't think you'd get the job at SmackDown, unfortunately. Just something about it. I can't quite put my finger on it. Just something about it just doesn't quite ring true, I don't think, for what Vince McMahon's ideals are, you know?
And lastly, we've got King of Hearts at BMD2778. Shane returns and starts single-handedly winning every single title, one after another. No cheating, just beating everyone clean with his sweaty hands. After winning all the men's titles, a new female wrestler's debuts. Her name is Shania, who proceeds to win all the women's titles. Or as he's written several times, Tittle, which actually I prefer. He's going to win all the titles.
That's a horrible suggestion, but thanks.
To be honest, that's more likely than Vince McMahon coming back as some kind of awakened
exalted
being.
One, some might call them.
Sorry to everyone who couldn't include that. There were literally hundreds of these things. So perhaps we can revisit next week if no one's filled that position.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you for all your tweets on that as well. Make sure to go follow us at WrestleTalk_TV. Might be doing more of these at some point if you want to get your own shout out on this show. But speaking of shout outs, it's now time for us to say thank you to some very special people, and that is our $25 and above pledge hammers on Patreon. If you've not been to WrestleTalk's Patreon page yet, we've got a really cool new perk for our $50 backers and above. We've got an exclusive Pledge Hammer t-shirt, which you can get for no extra cost, which looks really, really cool. And of course, loads of other bonus content. We've got a review of Dominion from 2018 coming up soon for WrestleTalk Extra. We've got the Drunk Cast, WrestleTalk After Dark. And if you pledge at the $25 and above level, you get your own custom wrestling name and it gets shouted out on a show, much like this one. So thank you to Will Land Party Landrum. Thank you.
The Fan Man, Dan Rutledge.
Woo! Thank you very much. How do you like them apples, Marcel Jura?
Oh, it's
lovely
Marcel.
Stuff. Thank you.
Great. They drew first blood, not me, Grace Rambo.
Lovely stuff. What a brilliant surname. Thank you very much. The Long Con, Josh Conley. Thank you.
Former star athlete, now head coach, Lendell Brentson.
Hell yeah, now the head coach. Harder than its bite, Sean Barksdale.
The mayor of Painesville, Dan.
Yes, thank you. Liam Millsummer Murders.
Nice. Shaun of the Dead, Peril.
Yes, thank you very much. Robert Spencer. period. Woo! Thank you
And
very much.
finally, just incredible, Adelhard.
You did not just roll your
Right.
R, Datsun. You did not just roll your R. How dare you? You've been banned
sorry.
from rolling R's,
Ollie, I hope you're not
Datsun.
watching.
God. Anyway, thank you very much to all our pledge hammers, and thank you for watching. That is all the time we've got for this episode of the WrestleTalk podcast. Please press the videos that have just appeared on the screen to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things, and a button in the middle that will make you become a pledge hammer on Patreon as well. I've been Chopper Pequenell. I've been joined by Randy Andy Datsun, and that was SmackDown.